African woman, confident woman, a special woman, beautiful woman. I cannot deny African women, they strong. She's on fire. She's a blessing for my home. You're a woman. She is a royal woman. A loving and caring mother. Hey, Mama Africa. She did for Zambia. She did for Zimbabwe. She did for Senegal. Mama Africa. Black is beautiful. So beautiful. So adorable, you know. What a beauty to be. Black is beautiful. Black is beautiful. So adorable, you know. What a beauty to be. African woman. Confident woman, a special woman, beautiful woman. I'm loving her vibing, beautiful woman. She is enticing, strong African woman. She is the full package, very special woman. Special kind of body with a health package. Liberia, Rwanda, Nigeria, Uganda, Africa, Mama Africa, Tanzania, Madagascar, Kenya, South Africa, Ethiopia, Namibia. We no forget Georgia, Ghana, Somalia, Angola. Life is beautiful, so beautiful.
Hey, Facebook, we have no copyrights to the music. Just playing for our pleasure. If you get on here, please share the video for us.
So you know, what a beauty to be African woman, confident woman, a special woman, beautiful woman.
Just dance mixes.
Beautiful woman, I'm loving her vibing. Beautiful woman, she is enticing. She is enticing. Strong African woman, she is the full package. Very special woman, a special kind of body with a health package. Liberia, Rwanda, Nigeria, Uganda, Africa, Mama Africa, Tanzania, Madagascar, Kenya, South Africa, Ethiopia, Namibia. No forget Nigeria, Ghana, Somalia, Angola. Like it's beautiful, so beautiful, so adorable, you know. What a beauty to be. Black is beautiful, black is beautiful, so adorable, you know. What a beauty to be. African woman, confident woman, a special woman, beautiful woman.
Dance mixes.
Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Split Talk, the Ninth Generation. My name is Goa. I am the president of Liberian Women Advocacy Network International. I'm also a member of the Legacy Holding Foundation. All two charities do work in Africa, Liberia, especially in Sierra Leone. We are here on the Split Talk, the Ninth Generation platform today, and joining me are my two Lawani members. And today is Easter Sunday. I will say happy Easter to you guys. Jesus is risen. Hallelujah. Amen. I just want to share a quick Easter thing with you before the other people introduce themselves and share the Easter thought with you. For me, when I was reading Matthew the other day, I was like, wow, Jesus actually knew that Judas was going to betray him. And Judas had already had a little conference or meeting with the people to give for him to collect the money for Jesus. So Judas knew he was going to betray Jesus when Jesus already knew that as well. So when they went to dine with Jesus, and Jesus said, "One of you guys will betray me." And then I think it was Peter who said, "Lord," he said, "Me." And God didn't answer. And then Jesus asked, he said, "Me." Knowing very well that he already knew he was going to betray, so he was still acting for the deception that goes around in the world today. But we thank God that Christ is risen. Hallelujah. He has ascended and he is on the throne of heaven. Go ahead, guys. Introduce yourself.
Before I introduce myself, Grace, I think you need to adjust a little bit. You've been breaking out.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Rhea Eddie. I'm the Vice President of Lawani, Liberian Women Advocacy Network International. Happy Resurrection Sunday. I'm glad to be back on this evening.
Good afternoon, ladies. Happy Easter. To
Happy
echo,
Easter.
to echo Grace's comment, I'm just going to put a little laughter to it. He has risen from the dead, and he is Lord.
Hey.
Every knee shall bow, every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. My name is Pittman Kennedy. I support Lawani. I'm a member and stand for everything that's right for women's and children's rights across the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bismarck. And we will have, I think we'll have Frida joining us from the phone. I will have her because Frida's supposed to be on this line, but she had technical difficulties, and so she's not on right now. But I hope to bring her on through the phone later on. So today our discussion on here for an hour. We come here for an hour every Sunday at 7 p.m. Lawani platform on a split talk, the ninth generation live. So our topic today is from boyhood to manhood. Ray, can you hear me now? Breaking up.
Still breaking up.
I don't know why though. From boyhood to manhood. Can you come here a little bit? Let me fix my stuff.
Yes, the topic today that we are discussing is from boyhood to manhood, the process. The process of development, the process of transition, and the process of sustenance. Who's responsible for it? Whether it's the mother, whether it's the father, whether it's both parents or neither parents, or maybe the grandparents. And so we are here to dialogue about it today, give our opinions, state some facts and non-facts, and hopefully it will be a fun discussion. So we're looking forward to it in this world, in this society that we're in now. Most of the time, if we find that most fathers, they do falter on the responsibility in raising boys. And that is why the topic is specific to boyhood. Because the men, when boys then grow up into men, they have a lot of difficulties when they have to what they're supposed to be as a man. They don't know the functions as a man because they were never taught, or maybe some of them, the fathers were never around. Some of them, the fathers were never present. They were around, but they were never present to teach them the responsibilities of manhood, or the process of transition from the adolescent into adulthood. And so there's a lot of things that they're lacking. And so for that reason, when they get into relationship, it become a lot of problem. And so we are here to dialogue about it today and just state our opinion, state what we know. And if people want to call in, they can call in and state their opinion and what they know. If not, if you're unable to call in, you can state it underneath, in the form of a comment, and then we'll address it later.
Okay, Pedro, you come in and tell us a little bit, a little story about you as a child growing up into a man, and what was the things that maybe you learned from your dad, and which are your parents that you were ready or close to that you could explain anything to concerning your own life as a child, your struggles and your meeting, in your teenage years, meeting somebody that you like. Who did you really confide in as a child growing up, since you are the only man on the platform right now?
Well, yeah, thanks. As a young man growing up, I was obviously influenced a lot by my dad and his work ethic and commitment to provision for us as a family as well as protection. But as I grew up, I learned a lot more on my own, given the opportunity to my developmental years. That when I came over here, there were things that I did not know, I wasn't privy to, that I learned. And like Vera always say, when you know better, you do better. From my dad, that my dad's primary responsibility was to provide. He provided without question. He also protected without question. Now, I think where what things could have been a little different was maybe on the nurturing part, to where I knew my dad loved me and he loved us, but he didn't communicate that. But I mean, verbally every day. And those are things that I changed in my own personal life as a young man. And it's important that we tell our young people, our children, that our sons, as well as our daughters, but since the topic is about our sons, that we love them periodically, often, and all the time, because it's important. It's a sense of connection. It's a sense of validation. I feel like I still would not trade what I had as a young man coming up, because I could trust that I knew I went to sleep knowing that my dad protected me. Over.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties on my end, so I'm trying to fix it. But I just want Fiora to come in. Most time when we have our children raising them, our primary job as parents is to train them in the way in which they should grow. And sometimes we try to make the parents so happy until we don't we become afraid of what we don't tell them what to do, and we don't show them how to do it, and then we lack our parent skills. And most time, when you're in a household with your husband or your wife, most time the parenting is left with the mother, because our society, the fathers usually go to work. Unlike things have changed now, so the mother is doing everything with these little boys, and whereas the father supposed to be there present. So, how you think in that light? Do you think that the father supposed to still be able to make time for the kids? And what can you elaborate on that? If you can hear me, your mic is off.
I think both parents are supposed to be present at all times in the years of the children until they hit adulthood. And like we were talking prior to coming on the show, most of the time in the home, the girls, you have the mothers nurturing the girls and the boys. Now, the mother is there to tell the girls, you can't do this, you can't do that. You have to learn to cook, you have to learn to clean. When you get into womanhood, by the time you hit womanhood, you will have to know this, you will have to know that, you will have to know that. But in the situation with the boys, the mothers also have to teach them. The mother teach them the womanly side of things. Like if you grow up to be a man, how to treat your wife. Maybe you're supposed to help her around the house. Don't just sit around and be the king and don't lend no helping hand. You have to lend a helping hand. She will teach him to tell him, go and take your bath. When you take bath, you have to be clean enough. You have to clean your arms. You have to clean your underparts. You will have to do this. You have to do that. When you get dressed, when you are dressed, go and stand before the mirror, look at yourself, make sure you are properly dressed, make sure you are neatly dressed, make sure you look appropriate before you go outside. So I feel like that certain things as a mom you can do with a boy child. But beyond that, it has to be the father. Like if a boy is transitioning from little boy, he's transitioning into preteen or early adolescent, there are certain things that start to happen to him. There are certain things that the father needs to step in, and he has to be able to take that situation to his father instead of his mother. Because he might take it to his mother might give him the best advice that she can give to him. But is it really what he needs? Because his father has gone through that process before, hopefully, and his father should be able to guide him through the process. If certain things start to happen to your little boy and he come and say, oh, this is what is happening to me, the father has to be able to sit down with him and say, okay, son, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, A, B, C, D, and E. At this stage, you will start to experience this certain kind of things, but when you're experiencing it, it means this. At this other stage, you will experience that, and when you start to experience it, it means this. And I think that's what I think that's where most fathers are not present, even when they're in a home, and things like that start to happen to the little boys, like they start to transition their life, their bodies start to transition and things start to happen. You always say when they go tell the father, oh, go tell your mom. I mean, if you go and tell your mom is not a man. I mean, her motherly instinct that certain things, and she knows a lot, she will try to talk to the boy child and tell him certain things. But I don't think it should be the position of the mom to take the son through that process. It's the position of the father to do that. Just like the mom is responsible for the little girl when she starts to get to the stage where she starts to see her menstrual cycle, the mom is there to guide her. Oh, okay, you are at this point now. Be careful. You're reaching a stage where you could get pregnant. Be careful. Don't let nobody come near you. Don't let this happen. Don't let that happen. The boys go through theirs too. And I think it is my personal opinion that when the boys start to go through those stages, it is the father's responsibility to take them through it until they reach to adulthood. It's the father's responsibility to lay the path for them, to tell them what to expect, because the father, has already walked that road. The mother has not walked that road. The mother can only lead the girl child on the path that she has walked, and she can do as much as she can with the boy child, but it is the father's responsibility when it comes to sons.
Okay, so I will come to pick. You can hear me. Am I breaking up?
A little bit, but I heard you.
Okay, so I'm working on it. My question to you is that as you has elaborated on the role of a dad, the different genders and stuff like that, what do you think, especially when it comes to parents who have separated, a single mother in the home and the dad is not there? And if you look into this world, research has shown that's why most men, you guys hearing me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Research has shown that's why most men, that's why the whole gay thing has taken over the world nowadays, because most boys were reared in the house by only their mothers. The fathers were never present, they never made themselves available. And so they just grew up seeing their mom acting, like the way she should act, like a female. And then they start to copy and model after their mother. So they start to think that, they should be doing things like females, which I don't know, because scientific world has shown another study. But how do you think that as a father, not in the home, you guys are separated, the wife and the husband, and you got this child. As a father, how do you see the man coming into the child's life? Because sometimes most of these relationships, when they break up, the men, maybe the man is you going through pain because of what happened, and the woman too is hurt, and they start to put their feelings into the raising their child, instead of seeing that we can't make it, it's okay, but this child is our focus, and people start to go their separate ways. So from a outside father's point of view, so the father and the mother not in the home, what do you think the role of a father should be, trying to be part of that boy life, regardless of whether he and the woman made it through?
Okay, and this is gonna be my opinion. Some may agree, some may not, others may not. I feel like as fathers, we have an innate and an ordained responsibility to 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 be in our kids' lives. I feel that's a responsibility that's bigger than that. We don't just give to ourselves. I think it's inclined to by biblical teachings. Um, but I also would say that it takes a level of maturity and understanding for most men to deal with, and women alike. Sometimes I think that when people separate, a lot of times the children becomes vulnerable, and the children are used sometimes as weapons to hurt the others. And that's why as a man we are obligated to rise above that and exude a level of maturity to make sure that no matter what it is, I need to be not only in the life of my child, but an active influence. If my child is not looking at me as his primary role model, then there's a problem. And that's something that we got to deal with. We cannot, as men, the excuse cannot be that, oh, well, she don't want me to see my kids. And I understand sometimes we have females that are really, hateful and fight, but our job is never ending as far as trying to be impactful. But here's how I look at it. At some point in time, as a father, at some point in time, you had an inside scoop to your child. You had a relationship point at some point in time. Very, very, it's very seldom that you'll find a father that not didn't have the opportunity to meet their kid. You know what I mean? Like cases where, say, you had a child and you, from the time the lady got pregnant, you left, so the child don't know you. But most cases, you had an opportunity to be with your child. The things that you do during that time, hopefully, is good enough that even during separation, that child will want the relationship with the father. So, for instance, if a person was married and they were in the house with a son, and they did things, spend time, spend valuable time, and that relationship had to go into separation, that child will still thrive off of that time and want and long for that time. So even if the mother doesn't want the child there, the father around, the child is going to force the mother to say, "Look, I need to see my dad," and the dad has to also be active. So to answer the question, there's not really an excuse unless it's something that beyond your control. Absolutely. I just feel like, again, sometimes I think we quit too early in the battle. And a lot of times we're not matured enough to understand the importance of our influence in our son's life, because that's our legacy. What we give them is what they're going to take to their sons. So if we miss the opportunity to empower them, we've just done them a disservice. But more importantly, we've done a critical harm to our lineage. So we got to take that responsibility seriously. Thank you.
Flora, you want to come in to say anything concerning that?
Yeah, I mean, what Pitman says is right. And bottom line is that men just have to make time to teach their sons. Their sons have a whole lot to learn from them. They can learn from the mother. The mother can go so far and no further, but there should be no reason why no man should not be present in his son's life, because you're doing him injustice. If you're not present to teach him what he needs, if you're not present to bond with him the way you should be bonding with him, if you're not present to answer the questions that he has as a boy going into manhood or going into preteen, then I mean you are doing a disservice to the child. Because I mean, there are certain questions the mom can, like I said, and there are certain other questions she can't answer. She's gonna get stuck. She's gonna need a man to come in and answer that question. So then you find the mom now go and ask, find another male to ask it. What do you think my son is asking me this question? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What would you say to him? So now she has to solicit.
Your phone going off.
Sorry, I got a call coming in. And now she has to, you find that the mom has to go and solicit answer from outsiders to be able to provide that answers to her son. And I think that is not right at all. A father, whether if you're in a home or not, if you're separated with a parent or not, you should always be available. That when your child has a question, specifically your son, while he's growing up, especially in the developmental stage, when his body starts to change and experience all kinds of things, you should be present to answer those questions and to guide him.
Okay. Let me just put a disclaimer up there, because there are mothers. There are single mothers that were alone. Maybe the father died when they had a child, or when they had a children, or maybe the man left them, and maybe they just never could make it in any relationship, so they sacrificed their lives and they took care of their sons. And their sons became very good in the world, in community. Some of them became lawyers, some of them became doctors. And so we know that single mothers can really be there for the kids. But we just seen that it's a bonus when the two parents, regardless of them being separated or not, be part of the child's life and help to mold that child into the person that is supposed to be, because that's the duty God gave you when you decide to have that child together. So that's what we want to do all day. There are fathers, the woman left them and they were there and they were able to take care of their kids. They took care of their sons and they took care of their daughters. And these children came out to be very good in the world. The girls came out to be blessed, although their father never had any other significant other. And he was able to train them in a way, and then they got in the world. They were able to beat the world means that they were able to live their lives in the right model that the single parent had put in. So we just want that disclaimer out there because they still got single people doing these things in the world today. But we're just saying that it is better for a father to be in a boy's life and a mother to be in her daughter's life to help to mold them because they're the same gender and it's easier for them to get maybe involved in one another. But
Chris, let me just cut in. Even the single fathers that have raised daughters that turn out to and women in society. At some point in time when our daughter hit puberty and she was supposed to have her cycle, that meant they didn't know what to do. He solicited idea from someone somewhere. Maybe he solicited it from his own mother. Maybe he solicited it from his sister or for some friend of his. At some point in time, he solicited answers for that particular period in his daughter's life to be able to guide his daughter. And that's what we're talking about. Not that single people cannot raise excellent children. There are single people out there who have raised excellent children, who are excellent human beings in society. But we are saying that it is, like Grace said, it is a bonus to be present. Then you don't have to seek answers from outside just to raise your own son, just to put your son on the path or put your daughter on the path that he or she needs.
And usually, most time they disconnect, especially in America, with parents when they separate from one another, they disconnect with them and their kids is that maybe when they separated, the woman was trainers, things were hard on her. She was going through some constraints and she would have to put child support on the man because maybe he was not trying to work along with her. Most time, and in most cases, women when they are separated with men, they try to see if they can just do this thing amicably, like especially when it comes to support. Say, okay, what is your duty here? What support you're gonna give financially? And then sometimes you see the men and try to reject her, then the woman not together anymore. And say, oh, I will not give my money and this and that and the other. But you're supposed to give your money because you have a child living in that house or you have children there. And then you see most time when they have that problem, they will go and put child support on the man, and then the hatred become even more. I even saw a post on Facebook saying, "Oh, the woman put child support on the man, God will punish them," or some kind of stuff like that, which is so sad because how do you expect after you leave this woman for her to be able to take care of your son? How do you expect for her to be the soccer mom, taking him all to all the different sports, and then providing for him, and then you don't want to give anything, you just want to walk away, and then in our Liberian community, oh, she didn't have child support on the man and this and that. But sometimes they don't need the money. She will have to put child support on the man to get help. And then most time, most men take it to be like an evil thing and they just abandon the child because of that child support and don't be in the children's life. And then when they start to suffer, at that time you will need your family, especially your kids. You want to see, the beauty of yourself. And when you reach that 70 years old, then your kids are nowhere to be found because you were never in their lives. And that's some of the things that the family go through. That's some of the things that the family go through. So for us, we just like to encourage both parents to try to work together regardless of your differences. Maybe you're not making it, your love life has nothing to do with that child. When you're in love, you created that child, you made that child together, and God sent that child over to you people. So you have the responsibility to take care of that child. That's your responsibility. But I just want to push forward from there, except you guys want to say anything concerning the whole child support and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I didn't have anything on child support. I just wanted to just echo the point that the absence of a man in the house is a recipe for disaster with the children. Yes, we have success stories on both sides. When you have a single mom, we've had success stories when we have a single dad at times, but they're very small in proportion to the amount of casualties that arises when the lack of a man in the home. And that cannot be understated and should not be understated because I feel like uh, the family unit is so important. It's the basic unit, but it's the most fundamental and important unit. Even of all organizations, the family unit is important because if there can be unity and effective operation as a family, all right, and with the man being the God ordained leader for the family, lead your family, then we have this function in other areas of our lives. So we men have a monumental responsibility as far as leading the way, as far as making sure that we fall under God's legitimate authority and raise our families in those areas. Sadly, today a lot of us have struggled with that because of the various reasons. And this is no knock against men, because there's some phenomenal dads out there and men that have been great fathers. But it's important to understand that the lack of a man in the home is a recipe for disaster. And we just hope and pray that we limit those amounts of casualties, and also applaud those parents that have been carrying it alone, those single moms that have raised, you know, great young men and women, and those single dads that have been doing the thing. And then the last point I'll make, Grace, is I know you said it's a bonus. I don't even look at it as a bonus. I think that's what we're supposed to do. I think when a kid's supposed to have a mother yet and a daddy, and they all supposed to be on the same team. But we've ran so wild in our world today that we don't even see that as much as we should. So that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the norm. But what was supposed to be the norm has become the abnormal. So
And then that's why we consider it a bonus now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you guys hearing me?
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
and yeah,
Yeah,
you like,
so yeah, for me, I personally grew up in a single family, a single parent home. My mother was a single mother. As soon as I knew myself, I never saw my dad because my dad had passed. And my mother was there. She was holding it down. And I had, by then, I had my three brothers in the house. And because the other ones are already grown, so they left. So, and then I had some other people living with us. My mom had three other boys from in the interior, pellet boys that were living with us. They were my brothers too. And she sent all of us to school. But I looking back at it, and now being married with my children in the house, I have a husband. My husband, he's the father, and he takes care of them. I see the difference that my mother was really struggling, because my brothers, they were not making it easy for her. You could tell that things were hard. If only that my dad was alive, we're gonna be so better. But we all come with different personalities. So my brothers, they were very different, just night and day. One of them would do anything my mom said, he adore her. The other was just, I can't do it. I mean, I'm sorry, I will give you help. And that was his own role in the house. He was just there to give my mother help from the beginning of the morning to the end of the day, from school to the yard to everywhere. He was giving her help, and you could tell it was a burden on her. And I used to really feel sorry watching that she had to go through that struggle. That's why I always tell my guy friends, people that are friends with my brothers, like Pitman, when I talk to you, I will ask for your children. You want to be in that child's life, regardless of the separation between the both parents. My father wasn't there because he died, but it was how my mother decided to do it on her own. She was just 41 years old, and she just decided that she wasn't bringing any man in her life. She was just focused on taking care of her children, and that's what she chose to do. And I'm just amazed that she chose to do that, because I passed way over 41, and I don't know if I could have ever done that. And that's why she's my role model until even her death, that she was able to do that. And she raised us in a very good way, in a very good light, and with all the things up and down, but she was still there as a strong parent. So, and that's why I want to appreciate my mother, even in her death. But moving forward, there's been a big push in recent decades to help girls to strive in school. Girls, in the workplace, everything is about girls. Oh, women rights and women this and women that. But what about the boys, though? Sometimes we sit down and we say all these things, but we just left men out. And men have not really taken the stance into this world, because they just expect to know everything. Boys are just there's people expect them not to have emotions. They shouldn't be hurt. Women can kind of do anything. The woman can cheat. The man shouldn't be hurt. But when the man cheat, it's a whole rigmarole. So what about boys? Even into this world, we see that in America today, the most educated black people are all women. I mean, in percentage now, they got some educated black men, but in percentage, when you get the percentages, women are more educated than men in a great country in the world. And because boys have not been paying attention to, oh yeah, we expect him to do this, and they are taught that, oh, you need to be a man. You see that song that boy made, I think native they call him. He said he saw the girl in the club, then he wanted to go after the girl, but he was thinking, then he started thinking and said, Native, be a man. We will be a man. What is being a man? What is being a man? Men too have feelings, men too they have emotions, they too struggle with a lot of things that women struggle with. They too need love, they too need attention. So and we take away these things because we expect the men to be a man, and we expect them to not cry. It's okay for a man to cry. It's okay for a man to be hurt. It's okay for a man to be depressed when maybe he was in love with a woman, the woman left. It's okay for him to express a feeling with his friends. Most time when the man go and say, "Oh, they want to drink it," and say, "My girl left me," and he feels sorry. His friends say, "My man, be a man. Why you care?" But he cares because we all were born and we were built to care. We were built to love. We were built to feel, and we were built to have emotions. So if you want to come in with that.
Yeah, most of the time it meant to it. I think if you remember way back here, myself were talking, and I say, Grace, you and I come on here and we talk a lot of issues, but we talk about women issues. We have diverse conversation, diverse topics, but we will talk about things that surround women mostly and stuff. And I said to you, I think, why don't I see what we do? Like, we come on every Sunday and we talk about diverse things. Why isn't there a man? Why aren't men coming on and doing the same thing you and I were doing? I think if you remember a while back, I asked you, I said it would be a good thing for why the women are talking, for the men to also talk, but it seems like the men are silent. And I don't know, maybe I'm misinformed, or maybe I just haven't seen it, but I don't know where I can come and sit and listen to, like, the way that we are dialoguing here with pit men. I would like to see men just host a show, like maybe if for an hour or two, talking about these things, that the same things that the women talk about, diverse topics, because women need to hear it too. And because, like you said, men got feelings. Men should not suppress their feelings. But you find that even as a little boy, when they whip the little boy in the house and he start to cry, they will say, "Shut up, be a man, straighten up, wipe your chest, straighten up your shoulders. Men not supposed to cry." I've seen that they have done it to little boys. And so they grow up with that attitude that men are not supposed to cry. They are supposed to suppress their tears. They are supposed to suppress their hurt. And so they grow up into men, and some of them become cool men. Some of them, that suppression just blow up into something negative. They become negative towards women because they have suppressed themselves so much to the point that even when something hurt them, they don't have the ability to express it. Because that's how they've been taught from little boyhood, that they're not supposed to cry. Even when you whip them so hard and they're feeling that pain, they tell them to shut up and straighten up their shoulders. Why would somebody be feeling pain? You tell them, wipe your tears and straighten up your shoulder, be a man. What does that have to do with being a man? What does that have to do with being a man? At that time, he's a boy. He's not a man. You are teaching him, you're disciplining him. Well, if you whip him, tell him why you're whipping him and let him cry and let him express his emotions. Men are supposed to express the same way women are supposed to express. That's how I feel. That is my opinion. But you find that in most cases, the men are unable to express themselves. Men are supposed to cry too. Men feel pain the same way women feel pain. Men need opportunities the same way women need opportunities. But like you said, nowadays women are becoming more educated than men. Why is that? What is causing that men are not pushing themselves forward to want to equal themselves with women? The other day we were celebrating, just last month, was International Women's Month, and we were celebrating women. We talk about equality in certain capacity. We talk about all these things, but there is a time for men too. Why aren't the men coming up and talking about their issues too? Why aren't they saying and what hurt them, so we as women out here can understand? Because we can share our feelings, we can share everything about us, but why aren't the men doing it? Why are they so pulled back? Why do they want to say what their issues are so we all can work on it? Because women hurt men too. Women hurt men a lot too. And instead of that man taking that emotion and expressing it and seeking help, he takes it and he go and take it up on another woman. And then the bad habit just continue, the cycle just continue, and he finds himself lonely in he finds himself not progressing in life. It hampers them. So they have to be able to express themselves. They have to be able to stand up. They have to be able to sustain. I've even seen men who, when something hurt them, they become so broken. Guess who they go to go cry? They go to their mothers to go cry. Grown men always go into their mothers to cry to their mothers. They always go into their mothers to seek advice. They always go into their mother to complain, even when the father is alive. Why is that? Why is it
Because
one of
society, Mama,
hmm?
society, because I just feel that I will not put the blame on the men too much, because the men were groomed from boys, from boyhood to a man. They were groomed not to show emotions. They were groomed to be a man. They were groomed to to not express themselves. They were groomed to not have feelings. So
So
when the feelings are taken away like that, they don't want to have feelings. They go and start to say, you know what, I'm a man, and they start to suppress their feelings. And that's why more homes are being destroyed, because the men are not supposed to be emotional. And for a man, it's emotional. It's kind of sexy though, to me. You know, our graduating college, my husband is getting hard to cry. Hard to cry. So he don't even cry. So when I was graduating college, when I was walking, I just looked up and I saw him, and I saw him cry. I was like, he was crying. I said, oh God, this thing is really, it was so sexy to me. I was like, oh my goodness. After we got there, everybody went to meet the people. I ran to him, hugging the tears over here. I was walking and I see him. I said, but when I get, leave me, man. Because I was just so happy to see him express that kind of feeling, it kind of sexy. But you want to come in?
Yes, I agree with most of what Vera said. I think I agree with what you're saying about things that most men deal with as far as holding their emotions inside. And I read a while back about some of the adverse effects of that. Uh, there was studies. I wish I had known earlier. I would have done some hardcore research. But I read that studies show that men even die at a rate of 10 to 15 years earlier than women, their counterparts, because of the stress that they hold on to over time. And then I did listen to Bishop T.D. Jakes preach one time, and he talked about the men cry, the silence of the men cry. Women cannot hear it because it's almost a silent cry. So you go to sleep at night and lay beside your wife, but you cry internally, you hurt and you bleed, but you were taught not to express that. So it affects the body. But so I agree with that. But I think what's important here that we should not lose sight, I'm gonna bring it right back to the original point, is when I talked about hurting our lineage and our legacy. I think most young boys are exposed to an environment that's unnatural. When I say unnatural, there's not a man in the house. So they have to figure things out. And in figuring things out, you hear what you are told. So let me give you an example. You got a mom that got 4 or 5 sons, okay? And she on the grind, maybe working 2 jobs. So she ain't got time to hear little Johnny crying. She gonna tell him, be quiet, be a man. Okay, that's what little Johnny takes now and processes in his mind. Now his mother intent is not to hurt him or to diminish his ability to express himself. But she too, you gotta understand, she's exhausted from the physical and mental breakdown. So little Johnny grows up and with his brothers, they're looking, they're searching. Who's supposed to be teaching them? A father or
exactly?
man that's supposed to teach them how to deal with everything, including how to deal with emotions. My father died almost what 2000. My father died in 2008. As old as I am today, there were days I wish he was alive to have dialogues. That relationship is important. It's never ending because there are times you wish, you having issues. It may not be problems, but you just want to hear his perspective. So think about a man who have raised children that's in college and everything, still wishing that he had his father to talk with. So think about 16-year-old boy, 17-year-old. Think about his urge and his desire to have a male. There's young men that grow up their entire lives and have not met a man that they can trust. It's sad, and this is thing that
Oh,
it comes
tears
back.
in my eyes, baby. You
The
got me crying.
responsibility come back to us. That's why we got to really take a serious role in being responsible for raising our kids, whether we are with their mother or not. We have to make sure we're on top of that because every time we miss that, we expose our kids to whatever direction they take in their lives. And it circles back to where we're talking about now. So, yes, I agree, society has a lot to do with it. But I think even if a fraction of the men that haven't been responsible have decide to be more responsible, you will notice a difference in the trends and the outcome. Because if a father teaches his son, it's okay to to cry, or it's okay to share your emotion, which I agree with. It's important that we men emotions as well. It's important. It should be courage. If you're that live life knowing that, hey, it's okay. But if every time you open your eyes to cry, somebody criticize you, and you're gonna keep that emotion inside, and the outcome could be devastating. So yeah, I agree with your point, but I wanted to add those points to that. Over.
Fever?
Yeah, I mean exactly what Pittman said. The presence of a male is very important in all aspects of the child life, especially in the life of a male child. You know, that man has to be there from beginning to end. Even when, like Pittman said, even he lost his father at his age, he still yearned for his father's voice sometimes, just to have a dialogue with him. So as a man in a male child's life, you are there from beginning to end until you expire as the father. That yearning is always going to be there. That contact is always needed, because in the life of that male child, he's always going to have questions. He always going to look back and say, okay, look, we're not. He's always going to look for that point of reference and say, you know what, let me talk to my dad about it. We as female, we do it too. We go back to our mom and say, you know what, I'm going to consult my mom on this other situation. Let me just go ask her opinion. Men need that too. They need that too, and that is why a male figure is really, really important in a little boy's life. Because we, the female, I feel like we have a whole lot of support in the home, because the mother, I mean, in very few homes you will see that the mother is absent, but the mother is always present. And the mother is always talking and saying all the things that she needs to say to the little girl for her to better herself tomorrow. But in the case of the boys, seldomly, it's seldomly the men are gone. Even some of them, when they're in the home, they're absent. You and I were talking about it, Grace, and I said that I believe that how the whole thing about soccer mom came about, because even though the father was there, when it's time to go to the soccer game, he was like, oh, I gotta work late, or I'm not coming home. You find a mom going to the soccer game, you find a mom going to the football game, to the basketball game, to the every game. So now you got a whole world of sports mom. Why isn't it the opposite? I know that some dads are involved in their children's life when it comes to sports, but over 50% of mothers are involved with the children. Saturday morning, they got to take the boys. I knew a lady, every Saturday morning, she had to grab all her boys and take them to soccer practice while the men laying and sleeping. Why is that? Why is that? Why is that even happening? How do you look? So what is your influence on your son's life? And then when the children don't want to come and talk to you about something, you can, they're too glued to their mom. They will, everything they go tell their mom, or they don't can't tell me, but you are not present. They can't talk to you. You are not building the bond. You are not building the relationship. You are not teaching them the path. You are not being a role model. So why would they come to you? They will go to who they know. It's the mom that is getting up every morning to take them to soccer practice, looking for their cleats, looking for the boots, looking for the football, looking for the everything there is. Even you, who the fathers, now you can ask your mom, but where the children's soccer shoes? What are socks? Where is the soccer ball? Hell, how is she supposed to know where all that is when you are the man?
And we just want to put something out there too. So I want to say that although we're talking about boys today, but I just want to clarify too that girls too need their both parents. It's important because for me, I never had a dad in my life. And sometimes as grown as I am with three kids, I still think about how it was going to be for me just knowing my dad. And sometimes I just like to, I think about it, and I try to model in my mind, seeing, my daughter interact with my husband. And I say, okay, maybe we're going to be like this, but I have no feelings. And it affects me too. It was hard for me to be able to relate to men. I just better think, because I just felt that my father, though he died, I even blame him in his own death, that I mean, why he died, he should have been there, and I never had that. So you need to be in your children's life. Although the boys need their father, the girls too need their father. They need their both parents to be present. The girl want to go out and hang out with her dad sometimes. So both ways, the children will need their father regardless what the case may be. But we just seen that relating to genders, it would be nice for the man to be able to be his sons, so his sons will be able to share with him what's going on with them. And because the two the same gender, the father will be able to tell his son what's going on as a man because he was once a boy. And that's where we are. Why are so many men getting lost in the transition from boyhood to manhood? Because some men are still boys. You got some men that are still boys. They just have refused. Just what people are saying, but it comes from way back from the father not being in the child's life. Some people were bonds and were reborn from that. It will still make their life better. Some people can be they just stuck because the father was never there and they were just stuck. They will just be stuck. I mean, the transition for boyhood to manhood, it would be a struggle for them. They just sometimes you're in relationship with somebody, guys, or you're married to them, you just see that they just can't be a man. They just can't. They still remain in that boyhood stage. They will not accept responsibility. You in the hustle, you are a man, things going on, you're supposed to be the head of the home, something happen, you refuse to accept responsibility and take your position. The position where you saw at door, I'm the head of the home. Time for you to already accept the head of the home or characteristics, you can't accept it because you still stuck in boyhood. And maybe you're stuck in here because you and your father never even had a relationship for him to teach you how to transition from boyhood to manhood. And when you confront that, maybe your wife said, "Oh, honey, we need to talk about it." And let's talk now. You start the woman now start to take on the position as a man, and she start to tell you, what's supposed to be done and what is wrong, and why you supposed to be the head. That's why God made you the head to be able to figure out those things and reside over your family and be the father or the husband that you're supposed to be to your wife. You want to come in and say something?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's the truth. A lot of men are stuck in childhood. They're just stuck. They just never moved, and I don't really know what caused that. I'm assuming that someone is because like they really not never had anybody there to walk them through the process of leaving from boyhood to manhood. Some of them never learned it. Some of them never traveled the road because it's a path that you have to travel. It's a process, and some of them never had the opportunity to go through that process because there was no one present there to teach them to go through that process. Some of them went through that process, but they went through it the wrong way. They went through it by learning from the street. So what they learned from the street is how they are applying it to the adulthood. But what they learned from the street was not a proper thing for them to learn. But hey, somebody had to teach them something. It's just that they learn it, but they learn the wrong thing and they learn it the wrong way. So now that they are in adulthood, they are in manhood. I mean, for some of them, some of the things that they apply, when you tell them and say, no, that is not right, they're like, what you mean that it's not right? And then they said, that's how I learned it. Well, I was on my own. I didn't have nobody to teach me. I was out there and that's how I learned it, but it's not the right way. But now they're so old, they're stuck in their ways. They cannot figure out the right way. And even if you try to help them with the right way, they feel that you're trying to control them. And so they reject you and it becomes a lot of other issue. But some people just never transition. Some people just it's just like it's like in their life there is this gap. In most men there is this gap that was never filled. And so they it's like they're stuck in their boyhood, but they are men. They are a full grown men now. But this gap of transitioning from boyhood to manhood, they never experienced that process. So it's like they hold you dog for them, they jump over it, they jump over the hole. They jump over so they jump on the side and miss the thing in between. So that thing that in between to get it in there now, it's a problem. But
Pepper, you want to come in on that? Why some people just how men are so hard? Some of them
So,
remain both.
so,
They can't transition.
but a couple things. I know earlier we said I wouldn't. The nurturing piece was something that I learned later on in life, and I think that it's important that we communicate that, that whole love and all that stuff to our kids repeatedly and often. Um, but time, okay, you heard the adage. Some people say time is more important than money, and I believe that. Wasted money can be recouped. Wasted time, no. So I think that like I call my friend. Okay, I'm at a friend of mine's house. I'm not gonna call the name now because I called my friend this afternoon. I said, hey, I'm coming over to your house. What are you doing? He said, me and my son chilling. I love that because as a man, his teenage son sitting there chilling, watching, sports and bonding. And then
Interact.
I also have a lot of young athletes that are trained, and their dads will come in the gym and not just pay and drop them off, but sit and interact. And we build this collaborative relationship because the money aspect is not all to it. That time, though, that's where it's at. So, and I just feel like most of us have to, more of us, because there's a lot significant amount of men out there that are spending time. But more of us need to understand that just providing don't really cut it. We really need to put in that time. I was fortunate. I don't like to put my personal stuff on the social space, especially, but this is more positive. So I was one of those fortunate ones that have happened to have common interest in sports with my kids. So we were always in the gym almost every single day. And sometimes people say, well, that's the only way you're bond. But I don't care how we bond, but we bond. We're in the gym. We travel to the gym. We had time in the vehicle. We had hours of, in fact, our vacation in the summer was surrounded around my kids' basketball schedule. That's how our summer vacation went. If he was in Orlando, we were in Orlando. He was in Las Vegas, we were in Las Vegas. So, but I don't regret those times because it creates priceless experience, memory experiences that will last a lifetime. I think more of us need to understand the importance of time over money and other things. Buying them a $200 shoes and a video game and putting them in the corner, and they spend a whole quarter fraction of their life on that, doesn't equate to that relationship built through time. So I want to encourage more of us, and that we should spend more time. And our other brothers out there that have been doing it, we applaud you for being great dads, because there's some of us over there that's going to keep our seat at the table because we're going to stand for it. We're not going to let the women kick us to the side, because we're going to stand up and we're going to do what's right. We're going to protect.
Yeah,
We're going to protect the integrity of men, because some of us are great men, and our sisters need to understand that we love them, and we're going to be there to collaborate with them so we can develop and cultivate great families. Thank you. I think that's my final shot.
I know, right? You're afraid to get your final shot. That was excellent, Pittman. Very excellent. And that's why I love you on the platform, because you're ready to get knowledge. You ready to, you give wisdom. And that's why
Thank
we
you.
like. Come and say your final statement, and so we can be on, because we have 2 minutes left.
I was just when a cousin of mine was getting married, and the advice that my aunt gave to her was that, when you have children, especially boys, if you have boys children, do your utmost best to discipline them. Even if the father is in the home, do whatever you can as a mother and discipline your sons. Discipline all your children if you have boys and girls, but the sons specifically, pay attention to them, because you know what happened? If today, tomorrow he is not disciplined well, he's out in the street, they will say, oh, look at Geneva's son. She never trained her son. He's so spoiled. She spoiled that boy. Look at, hey, yeah, poor boy. Look at him in the street now. But if he becomes the president of America, like Barack Obama, will say, yeah, John Brown Jr. Look at him. You know John Brown? That he Jr. there, oh, you heard say he Jr. Now president, the man, he will nowhere. You will not hear a man need nowhere to say that Mary's son. They will say that John Brown Jr.'s son there, he president. That when his father will be shining. So she was telling my cousin, she said, do everything you can to discipline your son. Discipline your daughters, but discipline your sons so they can be good human being in society, so they can shine. Because when they're shining, you will not get the glory. The only glory you will get will be in disciplining them. That the Father will take the glory when they are outstanding citizens in the world. And I would just like to see more what we do here, how we come on and just dialogues about topics, diverse topics. I would like to see a main platform like that. I'm hoping some men out there will start a platform like that. I know they got lots of political platform, but just a social platform to talk about these issues, men's issue, women's issue, how men handle things too. Because we talk about how we handle things and how we see things, but we like to know the men's the men would like to know their perspective on life issues too. So I mean, I'm hopeful that someday I will see a platform like that where I can come Saturday evening or Saturday morning or wherever time and just sit and listen to men's the insights from men, and that is my hope.
Well, I would like to thank you guys for coming on. Lawani, Liberian Women Advocacy Network International. We are all members on this platform, and we'd like to thank you guys for watching. I would just like to say my last statement is that most time when you ask anybody who's going through life struggles, and when you ask them why, they back and tell you that it's from the childhood because they did not have this and they did not have that. These things were not in their lives and their father were not there, but they still try to struggle with stuff. Most of the time, if you go to the prison, because I do sometimes visit a prison here in York, and most time the community call on me to go there when they have Liberians there. And that this is some of the things they tell me, my father was never there. In fact, he died in the war, and my mom was just struggling. I didn't know what to do, and I just got in the wrong crowd. So if you have the opportunity, my people, be in your children's life. It's very important. Men, if you have the opportunity, what happened between you and that woman, your love life? Well, because she says break up with her and get nothing to do with the child. That child ain't do nothing. They never asked to be born the warrior. You decided to born the child and you were making your law. It's your duty and your responsibility to be in that child's life. So we say thank you for watching. We see you here next Sunday with new topic and with you on the Split Talk, the 9th generation. Have a nice Easter and eat enough tonight before you sleep. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much. The show has ended.
Okay,
Yes, let me just yeah, take it on. Woo, that's it. Have a nice rest of your week. Thank you.
I'm gonna have a little salad, maybe a soup.